It began as the kind of morning most people forget. The sky was soft and quiet outside Sandra's window. The air felt still. Nothing unusual moved in the house except a slow beam of light crossing the floor. Sandra woke up with a tired mind. She had slept, but her heart had not rested. Something inside her felt heavy, like she had carried a quiet weight for many days without saying a word to anyone. She moved around her house slowly, making tea, trying to distract herself with small, normal things. But even those simple tasks felt strangely difficult. She did not know why. It was a normal day on the outside, but deep inside it was not normal at all. Something felt missing. Something felt off. Sandra sat near the window, sipping tea, trying to steady her breathing. She kept her thoughts hidden even from herself because she did not want to face them yet. She told herself it was just a slow day. Maybe she just needed rest. Maybe she just needed a moment of calm. She tried to believe it. But the silence did not feel peaceful. It felt too quiet, like the world was waiting for something she could not see. She opened her phone and saw nothing new. No messages about work. No calls. No reminders. No reason for her heart to feel uneasy, yet it did. She tried to brush it off, but the feeling stayed like a shadow behind her. As she stood up to wash her cup, she told herself she would go outside later. Maybe a walk would help. Maybe some fresh air could clear her mind. She took a slow breath and placed the cup in the sink. That was when she heard it. A knock at the door. She froze. It was too early for anyone to visit. No deliveries were expected. No friends were planned to come by. She felt a sudden rush of confusion. The knock came again. Soft but clear, steady, like someone who knew she was home. Sandra walked toward the door with cautious steps. For a moment she wondered if she had misheard it. But as she reached the hallway, she felt something shift inside her. The air felt different. Her heartbeat felt louder, as if her body knew something she did not. She opened the door slowly. And there he was. Keanu stood on her doorstep, looking calm yet slightly out of breath. He held something close to his chest with both hands, almost as if he had been protecting it during the walk. He was not dressed for filming. He was not surrounded by assistants or cameras. He was simply there alone on a quiet morning, as if he had walked across the whole city to reach her. Sandra blinked, unable to speak for a moment. She had not seen him for days. They had no meeting today. She had no idea he would come. The world around them felt completely still. Keanu gave a small, gentle smile. Not a cheerful smile, not a playful smile. It was a soft look that carried a quiet seriousness. He said her name in a soft voice. She whispered back, almost confused. She asked him why he was here so early. Her voice felt stuck somewhere between surprise and worry. Keanu did not answer right away. Instead, he looked at her face with careful patience, as if he was studying her eyes, trying to read something she was trying to hide. He seemed thoughtful, almost concerned. She felt exposed, like he could see the burden she had been carrying all morning. Then he asked a question she did not expect. He asked if she was okay. The words broke something inside her. She had been holding herself together since dawn. She had been pushing away her emotions for days. But the simple way he asked the question, without judgment, without pressure, made her feel seen in a way she did not expect. It was as if he had sensed her struggle even without her speaking a word. She tried to smile, but her voice shook slightly. She told him she was fine, but it did not sound convincing even to her own ears. Keanu lowered his eyes to the object he was holding. Slowly, he brought it forward. It was a small wooden box wrapped with a simple cloth. There was nothing fancy about it, yet it felt meaningful, almost personal. He handed it to her without saying anything more. Sandra looked at the box with confusion. She asked him what it was. Keanu just told her to open it. His tone was gentle, almost cautious, like he knew what was inside might affect her deeply. She lifted the cloth and opened the box with slow, careful hands. Inside was a small bracelet carved with calming symbols. She recognized it immediately. She had once admired the same type of design during a past event years ago. She had mentioned it only once in passing. She never expected anyone to remember, but here it was now in her hands. But that was not what shocked her the most. Beneath the bracelet was a folded note. It looked old, like it had been kept safe for years. The handwriting on it was familiar. It belonged to someone she had lost, someone whose memory still echoed in her heart, someone she had not spoken of in a long time. Her breath caught, her fingers trembled. She read the first few lines and felt her eyes fill with tears instantly. The message was personal, full of warmth, full of the voice she had missed more than she could ever say. Sandra felt the world tilt. Her knees felt weak. She looked up at Keanu with broken surprise in her eyes. He stepped forward quickly, steadying her with both hands before she could fall. He held her gently, giving her support without invading her space. His presence felt calm and steady, like he had come prepared for this moment. Sandra felt overwhelmed. Emotional shock ran through her. She had not expected anything like this. She had not expected to feel understood. She had not expected anyone to show up for her today. She finally asked him how he found the note. Keanu explained that he came across it during a small charity event. Someone had kept it safe for years but did not know who it belonged to. When he saw the name and details inside, he realized immediately that it was meant for her. He did not want her to receive something so important from a stranger. He did not want her to face it alone. So he came himself. Sandra felt her heart soften in a way she had not felt in a long time. There was something so gentle in his actions, something so respectful in how he handled every moment. He did not rush her. He did not try to comfort her with big words. He simply stayed close, silent, and steady, giving her space to breathe and feel. As the morning sun grew brighter, she realized this day was not normal at all. It was a day that began like any other, but had turned into something unforgettable. Keanu looked at her with quiet sincerity. There was no performance, no dramatic gesture, nothing that belonged to a movie scene. It was real, honest, human. And that was what made it powerful. The morning light grew a little brighter as Sandra stood there with the wooden box in her hands. Her mind was still trying to catch up with everything that had just happened. It felt unreal. It felt too sudden. She kept looking at the bracelet and the folded note inside, almost afraid that if she blinked it would disappear. Keanu watched her quietly. He stayed near but not too close. He gave her the space to breathe. The calm expression on his face made her feel safer than she expected. She took a slow step back into the house, and he followed her inside with gentle hesitation, as if unsure whether he was welcome. She nodded softly, letting him know he could come in. The house was filled with soft morning shadows and faint warmth, yet everything felt different now. She placed the wooden box on the table, her hands still trembling slightly. It had been a long time since something touched her heart so deeply without warning. She tried to speak, but her voice was not ready yet. Keanu stayed silent, allowing her to take her time. He took a seat near the table, but not directly next to her. He kept a respectful space between them, understanding instinctively that she needed room to process her emotions. Sandra sat down slowly, her eyes glued to the note again. She unfolded it carefully. The handwriting brought back memories she had buried for years. It belonged to someone she had loved deeply but lost too soon. Someone who had been a guiding light in her early career. Someone who had believed in her long before the world knew her name. Reading their words again felt like opening an old wound that had never fully healed. The note spoke of encouragement, hope, and reminders about her strength. It talked about the days when she doubted herself and how she had a unique way of turning pain into kindness. It reminded her of moments she had forgotten, moments she had pushed away because they hurt too much to remember. A soft tear rolled down her cheek. She wiped it quickly, but more came. She did not hide them this time, she let them fall. Keanu leaned forward slightly, his voice low and warm. He asked if she wanted to talk about it. She took a deep breath. For years she had kept that part of her heart locked away because she thought no one would understand. Yet there he was, sitting in front of her without judgment, without pressure, just offering presence. Sandra finally nodded. She told him about the person behind the note, about the support they once gave her, and how their loss felt like losing a piece of her foundation. She confessed that she had never fully recovered from it. The pain had settled inside her quietly, shaping her without her realizing it. She had learned to smile for the world, but inside she still carried the old ache. Keanu listened with complete attention. He did not interrupt. He did not try to fix her. He simply allowed her to speak, allowed her to let her heart open. The softness in his eyes made her feel like her words mattered, like her emotions were safe with him. After she finished speaking, a long, quiet moment filled the room. It was not awkward. It was not uncomfortable. It was peaceful, like a calm breath after a long storm. Keanu then spoke with a gentle honesty. He told her that no one truly moves on from people who shaped them. He said their memory lives inside in small ways, guiding us without us noticing. He said that sometimes life brings unexpected reminders not to hurt us, but to help us heal in ways we did not allow ourselves before. His voice was steady, almost reflective. Sandra felt his words settle deep inside her. She realized that he understood more about loss than most people. He had his own quiet battles, his own silent stories. She had always known he carried a certain depth, but seeing it up close made her respect him even more. Keanu reached out slowly, making sure she was comfortable, and touched her hand gently. The gesture was simple, but it carried warmth that spread through her chest. She looked at him, feeling the heaviness in her heart shift just a little. He told her that when he found the note, he felt something inside himself too. He explained that he had been dealing with his own quiet doubts recently. He did not share the details yet, but his eyes revealed a hint of pain. Sandra noticed it instantly, the way his calm expression flickered for a moment. She wondered what he was hiding, what weight he had been carrying alone. She wanted to ask, but he shook his head gently. He said today was about her, not him. He said she deserved a moment where someone cared enough to show up without asking for anything in return. That line hit her heart deeply. She realized how rare it was to have someone who offered kindness without trying to fix her, without trying to make her feel guilty for struggling, without expecting anything back. Keanu was not there as a co-star or a friend from work. He was there as a human being who understood pain, silence, and healing. The moment felt fragile but meaningful. Sandra stood and walked to the window. She needed a breath of fresh air, even if it was just a small one. She looked outside at the quiet street. Nothing significant moved out there, yet everything inside her felt like it was shifting. She felt the weight beginning to lift in small pieces. Keanu stepped beside her, keeping a respectful distance. He did not crowd her. He simply stood near enough so she would not feel alone. Then he said something unexpected. He told her he had hesitated before coming to her door. He said he was worried she might not want to see anyone. He said he almost turned back twice. But something inside him pushed him forward, telling him she needed this moment, even if she did not know it. Sandra turned to him slowly. She asked him what made him feel that. Keanu looked down, thinking for a moment, then said that sometimes you can sense when someone's heart feels heavier than usual. Sometimes you feel pulled toward someone without knowing why. His honesty softened her even more. She felt a warmth in her chest that she had not felt in a long time, not romantic, not dramatic, just sincere human connection. She told him she was glad he came. She said it in a soft voice, almost afraid her words might break if she spoke louder. Keanu smiled faintly, the kind of smile that carried quiet relief. He asked her gently if she felt ready to continue reading the note or if she wanted to rest for a bit. Sandra hesitated. She was scared of reading more because of the emotions it carried, but she also felt like it was time. She nodded slowly, saying she wanted to read it together with him there. She walked back to the table, picked up the note, and sat down again. Keanu moved his chair a little closer, still giving her space but offering silent support. As she began reading the next lines, something unexpected happened. A new part of the message revealed a memory she had completely forgotten about, a promise she once made, something unfinished that she had never completed. The words struck her like a wave. She felt her breath catch. Keanu noticed her reaction immediately and leaned in slightly, concerned. She whispered that there was something in her past she had not told anyone, something she had avoided for years, something that was now opening again because of this note. Keanu looked at her with calm patience and told her she did not have to rush. He said he was there and would stay as long as she needed. And for the first time in a long time, Sandra felt like she did not have to face her pain alone. The quiet inside the house felt deeper now, almost like the walls were listening. Sandra held the note in her hands while her heart beat faster with every word she read. The memory that returned to her was not small. It was something she had locked away for years, something she had convinced herself she would never face again. Keanu watched her closely, not with pressure but with gentle awareness. He could sense the shift in her breathing. He knew something inside her had opened, and he stayed completely still so she could take her time. He understood that rushing her would only make the moment harder. Sandra placed the note on the table slowly. Her fingers were shaking again. She stared at the words as if trying to decide whether to speak or stay silent. Keanu waited patiently. He did not move his chair. He did not lean forward. He let the moment be hers. Finally, she took a long breath and whispered that the note had reminded her of a promise she made to the person she lost. She said she had been too young and too overwhelmed when she made it. She believed deeply in it back then, But after that person passed away, the promise turned into a painful reminder of everything she could not protect. She looked down at the bracelet, running her thumb over the carved lines without thinking. She said the promise was connected to someone else too, someone who had once relied on her, someone she had tried to help but failed. Keanu listened with quiet focus. He could see how much weight the memory carried. Sandra's voice dropped lower, softer, as she explained the story. Years ago, before her career became stable, she had grown close to a young actress who was just starting out. They met during a small audition. She had a bright spirit and a hopeful heart, the kind that made everyone believe in their dreams again. They supported each other through difficult days, helping each other learn lines, sharing fears, sharing small victories. The person who wrote the note had admired their friendship and encouraged them to protect that bond. One day, the young actress confessed to Sandra that she felt lost and scared. She felt like she was not good enough for the industry. She felt pressured. She felt like giving up. Sandra promised her she would always be there to guide her, no matter what. It was a pure promise made with good intentions. But soon after, Sandra's own life became chaotic as her work grew and she was pulled into bigger projects. She became too busy. They drifted apart without meaning to. Then one day, without warning, the young actress left the industry completely. She disappeared from the spotlight and from Sandra's life. Sandra reached out but never heard back. The note had a line written specifically about keeping people close before it is too late. It reminded Sandra of her own promise. The guilt she buried long ago returned like a wave. Her voice trembled as she told Keanu that she always wondered if her absence had hurt someone she cared about. She had tried to convince herself that it was not her fault. Life moves fast. Things change. But the guilt stayed like a quiet ache. Keanu absorbed her words. His eyes softened even more. He understood the pain of losing someone without closure. He knew how guilt could live inside a person long after the world forgot. He spoke gently, telling her that life pulls people in different directions. He said she did not abandon anyone. He said she had no control over what the other person chose to do. He said sometimes people disappear not because of us, but because they are fighting their own battles. He told her she had been kind. She had cared, and that was what mattered most. Sandra looked at him with teary eyes. His words felt comforting but not forceful. He did not try to erase her feelings. He simply gave her another way to see them. That made her feel understood in a way she had not felt in a very long time. She asked him how he could speak so calmly about things that hurt. He gave a faint smile and said he had learned over many difficult years that guilt grows stronger in silence. He said sharing even a small part of it with someone can help the heart breathe again. He said he was not wise. He was only someone who had felt pain and learned to sit with it. Sandra felt something shift quietly inside her. She realized she was not only opening her past, but also seeing the hidden weight he carried too. Though he did not speak about his own struggles directly, she could sense a quiet sadness beneath his calm. She could see it in the way his eyes softened whenever she mentioned loss. She could hear it in the slow rhythm of his words. She wondered what story he had decided not to tell yet. She wondered what pain he kept locked inside. She wondered why he chose today, of all days, to bring her something so meaningful. Before she could ask, Keanu gently pointed to the note again. He said there was one more line she had not read yet. Sandra looked down at the folded corner. She carefully lifted it, revealing a message she had not seen. The words were short, but they carried strong meaning. It said that when she feels lost, she should go back to the place where her heart first felt brave. The place where she trusted herself before fear changed her. It said she would find her strength again where it first began. Sandra felt her breath catch. She knew exactly what place the message referred to. It was a small location connected to the beginning of her journey. A place she had avoided for years because it made her remember everything she gained and everything she lost. Her hand tightened around the paper. She whispered that she had never gone back. She said she was afraid of the memories it held. She said she was afraid it would hurt too much. Keanu nodded slowly. He understood. He told her gently that going back to old places is not about reopening pain. Sometimes it is about reclaiming the pieces of ourselves we left behind. Sometimes it is about finding closure instead of running from it. She stared at the table in silence, feeling pulled in two directions. Part of her wanted to forget again, but another part of her felt a small new strength forming just from having him there. She felt less alone with her fear. She asked him softly why he really came today, why he chose to bring her the note himself instead of sending it. Her voice held curiosity but also worry, as if she feared the real reason would be too heavy. Keanu took his time. He looked down at his hands and spoke with quiet honesty. He told her he had seen her at a recent event and sensed something was wrong. He said she looked tired in a way most people would not notice, but he did. He said he knew that feeling well, the feeling of carrying something silently because you do not want to burden others. He told her that when he found the note the next day, he felt it was not an accident. He felt it was meant to reach her now, not later. He said he knew she needed someone who would show up without asking questions. He said he hoped he could be that person today. Sandra felt her throat tighten. The sincerity of his words made her chest warm and heavy at the same time. She whispered that she did not deserve such kindness. Keanu shook his head immediately. He told her she deserved someone who saw her heart, not just her smile. He said everyone deserves one moment in life where someone shows up because they care, not because they have to. The room fell quiet again, but the silence felt warm this time. It felt safe. It felt like a space where both of them were slowly untangling invisible knots inside their hearts. Keanu looked at her with steady eyes. Then he asked softly if she wanted to face the place mentioned in the note. Not today, not this moment, but someday soon. He said he would go with her if she wanted. She did not have to face it alone anymore. Sandra breathed out slowly. She did not answer yet. She needed time. But for the first time in years, she felt the possibility of healing instead of fear. She placed her hand on the wooden box again, this time with a calmer heart. And she realized something quietly. This was not just a normal day. This was the beginning of something she had not expected, but deeply needed. The sunlight outside began to shift slowly, moving across the walls in a quiet pattern. The morning was turning into noon, yet Sandra and Keanu remained seated in the same room, surrounded by the soft stillness that held both of their emotions. The wooden box rested on the table, the bracelet glimmering gently beside the folded note. Everything felt fragile, like one wrong move could break the delicate space they had created. Sandra looked at the words again, feeling the weight of the forgotten promise, the memories she had pushed away, and the fear of returning to a place she once loved. Her mind was full, but her heart felt slightly lighter because she did not feel alone anymore. She felt Keanu's calm presence like a soft anchor keeping her steady. Keanu leaned back in his chair, his eyes thoughtful as he watched her process everything. He did not rush her. He did not ask anything unnecessary. He simply existed in the moment with her, allowing whatever needed to happen to unfold naturally. After a while, Sandra spoke. Her voice was quiet, but there was a new firmness inside it. She said she had spent so many years running from the past because she believed it would hurt her again. She admitted she was afraid that facing it would break her. Keanu listened with complete attention, nodding gently. He told her that running never truly removes the pain. It only hides it in a deeper corner. He said healing begins the moment you turn toward the thing you fear instead of away from it. Sandra felt those words settle inside her, but she also sensed something else. She sensed that Keanu was not just speaking to help her. He was speaking from his own heart. She looked at him for a long moment, studying the quiet sadness behind his eyes. She finally asked the question she had been avoiding since morning. She asked him what he was running from. The room grew still. Keanu did not answer right away. He lowered his eyes, resting his hands loosely on his lap. For the first time since he arrived, he looked unsure. Sandra reached out and touched his hand lightly, trying to offer him the same gentle support he had given her. She told him he did not have to hide behind silence. She told him she wanted to understand. Keanu lifted his gaze slowly, and she saw a mixture of struggle and honesty inside him. He said he had come today not only because of the note, but because he felt something shifting inside himself too. He said he had been carrying a quiet weight for months, a feeling of being disconnected from his own life. He had been showing up for others, working, smiling, doing everything he was supposed to do, yet inside he felt like something was fading. He confessed that he had been afraid of losing parts of himself without realizing it, afraid of becoming so used to carrying pain silently that he forgot what healing felt like, afraid of waking up one day and feeling nothing at all. Sandra felt her chest tighten. She had never heard him speak with such raw vulnerability. She knew he had faced hardships in life, but hearing him describe the quiet emptiness he had been living with made her heart ache. He was always seen as strong and calm, but now she saw the cracks behind the calmness. Keanu told her that when he saw her at the event days ago, he recognized a familiar look in her eyes. The same heaviness he had been carrying inside. He said sometimes you see someone who mirrors your own silent struggle, and it creates an invisible pull. He said he could not ignore that pull. Sandra swallowed slowly. She realized that both of them had been living with wounds they never spoke about. They had both learned to smile for the world while hiding the truth inside. She asked him why he never shared these feelings with anyone else. He gave a small, tired smile and said he did not want to become a burden. He said he did not want his weakness to make others worry. He said he had spent years being the one who steadies people, so it felt strange asking anyone to steady him. Sandra shook her head gently. She told him that strength is not just about carrying pain alone. She told him real strength comes from sharing the truth with someone who respects you. She told him he deserved support just as much as anyone else. Keanu looked at her with soft gratitude. He told her that hearing those words felt like a small piece of weight falling away from his chest. He admitted that he had been lonely in his thoughts for too long. The room felt warmer now, not because of the weather but because two hearts had opened at the same time. There was no pretense between them, no masks, no distance, only honesty. After a long silence, Sandra spoke again. She asked him what he thought she should do about the place mentioned in the note. She said she felt torn. She wanted closure, but she was scared of the memories waiting there. Keanu leaned forward slightly, his tone calm and steady. He told her she should not face it alone. He said he could go with her, not to take away her pain, but to help her feel safe. He said they could take their time, go slowly, and leave whenever she wanted. She did not have to push herself beyond her limits. Sandra felt tears forming in her eyes again, but these tears were different. They were not from guilt or fear. They were from the feeling of being truly understood. She whispered that she did not know how to begin. Keanu gently reminded her that beginnings never have to be perfect. They only have to be honest. She took a moment to breathe. Then she nodded. She said she wanted to go, not today, but soon. She said she wanted to face the place she had been running from because she wanted to become whole again, and she wanted to do it with someone who respected her heart. Keanu gave a soft smile, the kind that held quiet pride. He told her he would be there whenever she was ready. A light breeze passed through the open window, brushing against them softly. The moment felt calm, like a new chapter had begun without either of them forcing it. Sandra looked at Keanu with a softer expression than before. She realized that today was not just about her healing. It was about his too. They had both opened doors they had kept closed for years, and something about that felt powerful. She thanked him quietly for coming. She said if he had not shown up, she would have spent the whole day pretending to be fine. He responded gently, saying he was glad he listened to the small voice inside that told him she needed someone. She asked him what he needed. Keanu paused. Then he said he needed the same thing she did: connection, honesty, and a moment where he did not have to pretend he was okay all the time. They looked at each other, both understanding something deep without needing to say more. They were two people who had been walking alone for too long, and today, without planning it, they had found something healing in each other's presence. The next morning arrived quietly, with soft light spreading across Sandra's room. She opened her eyes slowly, feeling a strange mixture of calm and nervousness. The emotions from yesterday were still present inside her, but they felt clearer now, less tangled. She sat up and took a long breath, letting the silence settle around her. She looked toward the wooden box on her table. The bracelet lay inside, untouched since yesterday. The note beside it felt heavier than any object she owned. She traced the carved symbols on the bracelet again, feeling the connection between her past and her present. It was time to stop running. She felt that more strongly today than she had felt in years. The quiet morning allowed her thoughts to settle slowly. She remembered the moment when Keanu offered to go with her to the place mentioned in the note. His words returned to her in a warm echo. She was grateful, deeply grateful, that someone understood her heart in such a gentle way. She picked up her phone and typed a message. She told him she was ready. She did not expect him to reply quickly. He had his own life, his own responsibilities. But within seconds she heard her phone buzz. His message was calm and simple. He said he would come. Sandra changed into comfortable clothes and waited near the window. She watched the street quietly, her heart beating a little faster each minute. She felt afraid, but the fear was not overwhelming like before. It was the kind of fear a person feels when they are about to do something brave for the first time. After a short while, she heard a gentle knock. She opened the door and found Keanu standing there again, but this time he looked more grounded, more present. He asked her softly if she slept. She nodded and told him she felt different today. She felt like she was finally ready to take a step toward the past she had once avoided. Keanu asked her if she wanted to take her car or if they should walk first. Sandra said walking felt better. She needed a slow start. Keanu agreed without hesitation. They stepped outside together. The morning air was cool and calm. The streets were quiet with only a few people passing by. Sandra felt grateful for the stillness. Walking beside Keanu made her feel grounded. He remained close but not too close. His presence was steady like a quiet promise. They reached her car and Sandra paused before unlocking it. Keanu looked at her carefully, sensing her hesitation. He asked her if she felt all right. She nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. She took a deep breath and unlocked the door. She told him the place was about 30 minutes away. He said that was perfect. As they drove, the silence inside the car was gentle, not heavy. Sandra kept her eyes on the road, but her mind drifted to memories she had long buried. She remembered the small building where she used to practice her lines. She remembered the laughter she shared with the young actress who once believed in her. She remembered the person who wrote the note, guiding her through the hardest days of her early career. Her chest tightened with each memory, but Keanu seemed to sense her thoughts. He rested his hand lightly on the edge of his seat, not touching her but giving her silent reassurance. He told her she did not have to be perfect today. He told her the goal was not to solve everything at once. The goal was simply to show up. Sandra felt warmth in her chest from his words. She nodded silently and continued driving. When they reached the old neighborhood, everything felt familiar yet distant. The buildings looked older. The trees were taller. The streets were quieter. She parked the car near the small studio she had once visited every day. As she stepped out, her breath grew uneven. The building looked almost untouched by time. The windows were dusty and the paint on the door had faded, yet it still carried the memories she had once lived with. She stood still for a moment, unable to take another step. Keanu stepped beside her slowly. He did not urge her. He did not tell her to hurry. He simply waited until she was ready. She took a shaky breath and stepped forward. The studio was locked, but the sight of it alone brought back a rush of emotions. She remembered the young actress's smile. She remembered their shared dreams. She remembered the promise she made in this place, the promise she believed she had failed to keep. Her eyes filled with tears as she whispered that she wished she could go back and change things. She wished she could have been there more. She wished she did not let their distance grow. Keanu listened, his expression calm and full of understanding. He told her something that struck her deeply. He said sometimes people disappear because they need space to heal, not because we push them away. He said the young actress might not have left because of Sandra, but because of her own journey, her own pain, her own path. He told her she was holding guilt that did not belong entirely to her. Sandra felt a strong wave of emotion. She closed her eyes tightly. She felt the air brushing her skin and the memories brushing her heart. She told Keanu she wished she could find the young actress again. She wished she could know if she was okay. She wished she could tell her she was sorry. Keanu placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, not forcing her to turn, not forcing her to face him. He simply let her know he was there. He said that closure is not always found in people. Sometimes closure is found in honesty with ourselves. He said she could forgive herself without hearing words back. He said healing does not depend on someone else returning. Healing begins when we allow our hearts to breathe again. Those words made her tears fall silently. She wiped them slowly. She turned toward the studio again. She walked up to the door and touched the old handle. She whispered a quiet goodbye, but not a painful one. It was a soft, gentle acceptance of everything she had once held inside. As she stepped back, she felt a small release inside her chest. Something heavy loosened, something she did not notice had been stuck for years. She looked at Keanu with eyes full of gratitude. He smiled softly, telling her she had done something brave today. They walked back to the car slowly. The morning had turned into afternoon. The sunlight felt warmer now, as if the world had shifted in her favor. As they sat in the car, she felt calmer, lighter, clearer. Keanu asked her if she felt different now. She nodded, saying she felt like a door inside her heart had finally opened. She told him she felt ready to forgive herself. She felt ready to let go of the guilt she carried. Keanu told her she deserved peace. He told her she had always been kinder to others than she had ever been to herself. He said it was time she offered the same kindness to her own heart. They drove back in slow silence, a peaceful silence. Sandra felt stronger with every passing mile. She felt grateful that he had shown up on a day she thought would be normal. She felt grateful that he understood her in ways few people ever did. She felt a quiet respect for him, for his presence, for his honesty, for the weight he carried too, yet still chose to help her carry hers. When they reached her home, she turned to him and told him she did not know how to thank him. He shook his head gently and said she did not owe him anything. He said he was there because he cared. He said kindness is never something that needs repayment. She felt a deep warmth in her chest, something she could not describe with simple words. She stepped out of the car and looked at the sky, feeling hope instead of heaviness. Keanu's voice came softly behind her. He said that today was only the beginning. That healing would come slowly but surely, that she had taken the first step. She nodded, knowing he was right. Today had been difficult, but it had also been healing. And she was not alone anymore. The evening arrived slowly, settling over the neighborhood with soft golden light. Sandra stood near her window as the last colors of the sky faded. The day had felt long, emotional, heavy, but also deeply healing. She placed her hand on the wooden box again, feeling the carved bracelet under her fingertips. Everything inside her felt different now, lighter, clearer. She had returned to the place she once feared, and she had not faced it alone. She heard a quiet sound from outside and turned to see Keanu still standing beside his car. He had not left yet. He looked thoughtful, as if he was deciding whether he should say something more or give her space. She stepped outside and walked toward him slowly. The air was cool, and the soft breeze carried a peaceful silence between them. Sandra asked him why he had not left yet. He gave a small smile and said he wanted to make sure she felt all right before he drove away. She told him she felt better than she had expected. She said today had reopened old wounds, but it had also closed some that had been hurting for far too long. Keanu listened with a quiet ease, the kind that made her feel safe to speak her thoughts freely. She looked at him carefully and said she knew he was still carrying something too. She said healing for him had only begun, not ended. He lowered his eyes slightly, as if the truth inside him felt difficult to speak. She stepped a little closer, offering the same gentle support he had given her. Keanu took a slow breath and finally shared what he had been holding inside. He said he had been feeling disconnected from life for a long time. He said he had been showing up for everyone except himself. He said he had forgotten what it felt like to be understood. He confessed that he had been afraid of losing his sense of purpose. He spoke softly, carefully, but every word carried deep honesty. Sandra listened with full attention. She could see how much courage it took for him to speak. She reached out and touched his arm gently, telling him he was not alone. She told him he deserved the same kindness he gave to others. She told him he did not have to carry everything inside his heart by himself. Keanu looked up, meeting her eyes. There was a quiet gratitude there, something unspoken, something deep. He said that being with her today made him realize he had been avoiding his own healing for too long. He said her strength inspired him, not the strength she showed the world, but the strength she showed when she admitted her fears and faced them slowly. Sandra felt a warm ache in her chest. She told him that healing works both ways. She said she found courage today because he showed up. She said sometimes all people need is someone who cares enough to stand with them in silence when words are too heavy. Keanu nodded softly, and the silence that followed felt warm, peaceful, full of connection. They stood under the soft evening light, two people who had spent years hiding their pain but had finally found a place where they could let it go. After a moment, Sandra invited him inside for tea, not out of obligation but from a gentle sense of comfort. He accepted with a quiet smile. They walked inside together. The house felt calmer now, almost brighter. They sat near the small table where the wooden box still rested. Sandra poured the tea slowly, the steam rising softly between them. They talked about small things, light things, simple things. It felt like their hearts were resting, no longer carrying the same weight they carried yesterday. Keanu looked at the bracelet and said he believed the timing of the note was not an accident. He said some things arrive exactly when they are meant to. Sandra agreed. She said she felt like the note had returned to her because she was finally ready to heal, even if she did not know it. After a long, quiet moment, Keanu spoke again. He said he wanted to take steps toward his own healing, too. He said he did not want to keep living with quiet sadness. He said he wanted to be honest about his feelings with someone he trusted. Sandra looked at him gently and told him she would be there if he ever needed someone to talk to. She told him she understood what it felt like to hide pain behind strength. She told him he did not have to pretend with her. Keanu listened, his expression softening in a way that told her words meant more than she realized. He thanked her quietly, not just for the tea, not just for the day, but for being someone who listened without judgment, someone who did not push him, someone who offered kindness in a world that often forgot how powerful it could be. The evening grew deeper and Keanu stood up slowly, preparing to leave. Sandra walked him to the door. There was a calm silence between them, but it was a warm silence full of understanding. He told her she had taken a brave step today, and she should be proud. She told him he had too, even if he did not see it yet. Before he left, he gently touched her arm. It was a small gesture, but it carried deep respect. He looked into her eyes and said something simple but meaningful. He said that normal days are sometimes the ones that change us the most. Sandra felt her heart soften at those words. She watched him walk toward his car, each step steady and quiet. Before he got inside, he looked back and gave her a soft smile that held sincerity, gratitude, and a quiet promise that he would continue healing too. She watched him drive away, the evening lights reflecting softly on the street. For the first time in a long time, she felt peace settling over her. Not because her pain was gone, but because she was no longer carrying it alone. She walked back inside and placed the wooden box on her shelf. She touched the bracelet and whispered a soft thank you to the person who had once supported her. She whispered a thank you for their final message. She whispered a thank you for the healing it brought. The house felt warm now. Her heart felt stronger. The world outside felt brighter. It had started as a normal day, but it became the day she found strength again. And the day Keanu found healing too.